Folks, and welcome to week 10 of Pigskin Holiday. Welcome back, Mario Lights Out Spina, Carl Terry, and myself. Good to be back, bud.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
As everybody knows, we missed you last week, but
thank you for the shout outs, you guys. That was awesome. Very awesome. And good solos.
Thank you.
Good solos. In tune and everything. Good job.
We worked for 3 hours on it.
I know.
We did.
It's tough stuff.
It's
tough stuff.
3 hours a piece.
Yeah, a piece.
Separately in different rooms.
Right. Capiche?
Yeah. Okay. You know, last week we started the show talking about that the Tennessee Titans could get out of Chris Johnson's contract at the end of this year or the end of next year, and he should start performing. And this week he did that, and we'll get to it in a minute. Let's lead off this week with some similar news. We also touched on early in the season about DeSean Jackson being in a contract year, and would that be a distraction? Then they built the dream team. Then they had the high hopes. Then they went, and they're still on the bottom.
Yep.
No, like I said,
they've hit a couple of the little hills on a little kiddie roller coaster.
Eagles not looking too good, folks. I mean,
not at all.
A bit of a disaster over there in Philly right now. Anyway, so DeSean Jackson was benched this week. The reason given was that he missed a team meeting on Saturday. He said he slept through his alarm, didn't make it in time.
Blah, blah, blah.
But that's just the surface stuff. There's other stuff too. So apparently that contract thing and then losing the combined effort of those two things has made some dissatisfaction with DeSean Jackson and his teammates. Much like the thing we discussed a while back about when one teammate does not do the legwork to study, work hard on the field, run a crisp route even when you're not getting the ball. Don't be going like this or telling you don't get the ball.
You're right.
So apparently the DeSean Jackson situation is it's dirty right now.
All I can say is good for Jeremy Maclin.
But he got hurt.
Well, then shit.
Jinx. But no, you're right. That puts him in a very good position to move up that next step. And he's got the ability to do it.
And he's young.
He is.
I mean, he's very young. He got a lot of time left to...
Now Mr. Jackson's in the hot seat.
You did good. You're good.
It's all up here, guys. It's all up here.
So anyway, he's seeking the contract extension, and you know, this ain't gonna help the situation none. But let's look at his 2011 stats. I was pretty surprised by this because I've always called him a lights out player for Philadelphia.
Right.
Including the game here in St. Louis in the season opener, right?
Yeah.
29 receptions, 503 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
How did this happen?
Wow.
That leaves a lot to be desired from previous performances.
Lose the tude, maybe.
Perhaps.
It's just like the Steven Jackson thing, which he's come back better. The Chris Johnson thing we talked about last week, he came back better this week. And let's talk about that game now, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Tennessee, Carolina. Carolina came off. We're like, they're going to be ready to rock.
Yeah.
Cam Newton's going to be on fire. Steve Smith.
And it's not like Tennessee's a team that Carolina can't beat.
But Tennessee could beat Baltimore. All right. So anyway, Tennessee, Carolina, 30-3 Tennessee.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I did not see this happening.
How did this happen?
Shellacking. Shellacking.
Chris Johnson rebounded for 27 carries for 130 yards.
Yep.
But he also, I believe, he had 174 yards from scrimmage total.
He had 4 catches with 44 yards.
Exactly. Not a bad day for the guy.
No, so, that's a great day for anybody.
Pretty much. Hasselbeck was 15 of 27 for 219 yards. That's it.
No touchdowns, no picks. Nothing.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Cam Newton, 23 of 40, 212 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, but got sacked 5 times.
Oh.
5 times on the ground.
He also outran D'Angelo Williams, though. which should never happen.
It's interesting you say that.
In one less attempt, mind you.
Newton had 55 yards rushing. The team had 58.
Yeah. No, D'Angelo had 35, but still, I mean, that's one less attempt at running from the quarterback, getting 20 more yards than the running back. They're supposed to run. It even says it in their name.
No, he did that. He ran back.
That's the problem.
Steve Smith did not represent the 5'9" of the world too well.
No, he did not.
Only 33 yards.
Yeah, pretty abysmal.
But as far as excitement in the game, Tennessee's Mariani had a 79-yard punt return for a touchdown.
That guy is fast. That guy
Or
is
just a
seriously
punt return. I
fast.
don't know if it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
If it's that long, it should be a touchdown. shouldn't it?
Yeah, he's fast.
Not as good as
Fast little white
Hester,
dude.
but pretty good.
Right.
Not even as good as that Peterson kid in Arizona.
No, Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
That guy's.
So anyway, 30-3 Tennessee over Carolina. I don't know what happened to Cam Newton and the Panthers this week. I'm very disappointed.
The funny thing about that, though, is that that's disappointing for Cam Newton. That's disappointing for Carolina. But Cam Newton's numbers is still a pretty good day for a quarterback anyway.
Right.
Even with only 3 points, with an abysmal performance, this goes right back to what I've been saying. You know, he's putting up this kind of numbers that should be winning him games, but nobody around him's delivering anything except Steve Smith. And he did it this week, but I think he was hurt. So, you know.
Pretty sure he was coming off of an injury.
Right.
Well, I mean, if you throw the ball 23 times, you know, completed out of 40 attempts, but you were sacked 5 times, that could be 28 of 40 for 289 yards or 320 yards.
Yeah.
Those 5 sacks take away what kind of. You never talk about what play that would have been.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the Jets last night. They're all over Sanchez.
Yeah.
He had a good game going.
Yeah.
And without those rushes and hurries and sacks and knockdowns and intentional groundings, costly intentional groundings, he had a bigger game.
Yeah.
How about that New England-New York Jets game?
How about that game?
Do you guys have something to settle here?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know,
Freaking again.
this is kind of a landmark for us here because none of our teams are going to be playing each other again. You know, we have our other second favorite teams, but none of that really counts. I'm the Patriots, he's the Jets, you're the Cowboys. That's what it boils down to.
Won the Rams, but
Yeah, but, you know.
yeah.
And
We both won this week.
I'm undefeated in bragging rights. I mean, that's amazing.
True that.
I called that.
I could be 1-2, but we did not do the bragging rights in week 1. We didn't do that until later on in the
That's true.
year. So
Right. We did. There's a picture of us going like this, though.
Yeah,
Remember?
that's true.
I remember
That's true.
that. But yeah, that was a very good game. This will be the last time that I do this. That Sanchez had a good game up until the end.
He did. He was looking pretty good.
He was 20 for 39, over 300 yards. He had 306 yards.
Yeah.
He had a touchdown, 2 picks. Ooh, not so good.
no exception.
Brady, he was 26 for 39, had 329 yards and 3 touchdowns.
It's a good day.
That's a great day. That's a great day.
It's a Tom Brady day.
Yeah. On the running side, Woodhead, he was 7 carries, 38.
Yeah, I think Sean Green only had like 36 or something like that.
No, Green had 61.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he had
you
13
the 6
carries.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was in there.
That was 3.
No.
Now, here's the difference in the receiving here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to touch on one receiver from each team.
Mhm.
Holmes, he was 6 receptions, 93 yards.
What up, Holmes?
Good. No touch. Now, Gronkowski, on the other hand,
Man.
who is...
A freaking animal.
it's
A freaking animal.
crazy
And
how good he is.
Hernandez both
Oh
are
my
monsters.
See,
Oh my
Hernandez
gosh.
is
They're fun to
having
watch.
a
Yeah.
great tight end year, but Gronkowski's having a great wide receiver year.
True that.
He was 8 receptions, 113 yards, and 2 touches. And it would have been 3 if he hadn't have stepped out of bounds that one
Exactly. He was the first. You can't go out of bounds and be the first player to touch the ball.
Right.
Right. And he
Otherwise-
actually broke Mike Ditka's record for most receiving touchdowns in his first 2 years
Yes.
of play.
That's,
But that's
very
huge.
impressive.
Yeah.
How many times last night did you see Brady drop back and do this?
He was...
He had like all
He
day.
had all day.
That's
All day.
crazy.
He had all
especially-
day, all night.
All right.
Especially knowing how often it is that the O-line kind of collapses there. after the initial burst, which he normally gets the pass off within that amount of time. And whenever he's holding it longer, that's whenever bad things tend to happen.
Right.
And you would especially think that against the Jets.
You know, and at the very beginning of the season, I remember hearing a quote by Rex Ryan saying, "Please, will somebody else in the league beat the Patriots besides us, the Jets?" Well, actually, people are.
0-2.
Yeah.
People are beating the Patriots besides you, Rex Ryan. So maybe you should shut your fat mouth for a second.
Wow.
And try to figure out how to actually win your division.
And that was the big thing last night. With the Jets were like, "Hey, this is our chance to come in here and take the situation in their own hands.
They
show
did.
who we are," and they're fired up to do that.
Yeah.
But like I said, late in the first half, mismanaged timeout, 1 minute 20 for Brady, and this is what he did. He threw
Rex
passes.
Ryan called that the stupidest thing in football.
Yeah.
That's
So we all know you don't give Brady a minute.
Yeah.
Or a minute 20.
you give
know,
Brady no time.
This is what he did. He threw passes of 12, 14, 23, then a 15-yard penalty by the Jets, then a pass of 18 yards, and they scored.
Mm-hmm.
There was also only 2 incompletions on that whole series. 2 incomplete passes. That's what Brady does. But here's the problem. There's 2 things interesting about this game. First of all, the Patriots secondary was decimated by injuries. It was patchwork.
Mm-hmm.
But they got the job done.
Absolutely.
The other problem is for the Jets, 2 weeks in a row now, their first drive has gone down, looked good, and got nothing.
Nothing.
So,
You know, in the last, like, I didn't mean to cut you off,
okay.
CD, but like,
Yeah,
you know,
you
in the
did.
last couple of games, I completely meant to cut you off.
I know.
That was on purpose.
In the last couple of games, though, like they've been more of a second half team, and they weren't a first half or a second half team.
No, but you know what?
Yesterday.
But I got to say though, they still competed. They played hard. It's just they came across a Patriots team that's tired of being what they are this year compared to what they used to be and should
Right.
be.
Right.
They don't like what's been going on. The losing thing.
And when you have 3 turnovers, that 17 points get scored off of those 3 turnovers. That's exactly how you lose a game. That is exactly how you
He'll
lose.
tell you that's what good teams do. You capitalize on that stuff.
Exactly.
2 touches and a field goal.
Yep.
Jinx.
Gotcha.
I've done that with both you guys now. What's up with that? But the one other thing that I wanted to touch on with this game is Ninkovich. He got both of the interceptions that Sanchez threw.
One for
and
pick
one was a
six.
pick six.
Yeah.
And the other one was a good return as well. It was
Yeah.
what, 20, 30 yards or something?
I'm not sure.
It was a pretty good return on
Well,
top.
20-30 is 50, right?
It's 50-yard return.
50-yard return.
He said 20-30 yards. That's 50 yards.
But now, is this a case of him emerging as being a really good defensive player, or is this a case of Sanchez is finally really showing he's caving to pressure?
No, I think it's more the first part.
More the first part?
Yeah, you got a patchwork secondary. You got guys getting a chance to play in a big game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah, but he's a linebacker. And he's not one of the guys that's supposed to be getting these
and on
picks.
so what did the Jets throw? They showed them they throw them short passes over the middle and cut routes and stuff. They don't always, they go deep sometimes, but
Yeah.
they're a very intermediate passing team.
Oh yeah, they're definitely a run and gun
That's where a guy
style.
like that prospers.
Yeah. They're definitely, a run-heavy team, and that's the part. I think that's the main problem with the Jets so far this year is their lack of running game. They have nothing going on. Sean Green can't get anything going. He has had 1 game so far this year where he's gotten over 100 yards.
Yeah.
1 game. LaDainian Tomlinson hasn't done squat so far, and now he's out with a torn ACL or MCL or whatever it is. So he's out for the rest of the season and probably for the rest of his career. So
Well, also the Jets going into this week had a few weekends where they stuffed the run. They did the run again.
Mhm.
Smash it down your throat, run the ball, and then they kind of went away from that and started passing the ball. How many times did Sanchez pass the ball yesterday?
he passed for
He passed it 39 times.
39 times and
39
completed
times.
20.
You know, I mean, that's not a lot. It's not like 63 for Stafford yesterday,
Right.
but it's still a lot. I mean, it's pretty balanced attack, but I'd say it was more overall more passing than rushing yesterday.
I mean, he threw just as many passes as Tom Brady did, but Tom Brady just happened to complete 6 more.
Yeah.
So
You know, and the conversation was between Belichick and Ryan was that Belichick complimented Ryan on the fact that he's one of the better second half adjustment coaches.
yeah,
Not this time.
no,
But, I mean, on the other hand of that, though, these 2 guys planned all year for each other.
Each other.
Yeah.
No matter who else they're playing, they look at it like they're playing the Patriots if you're the Jets. Or
Right.
if you're the Patriots, you're looking at every team you're playing. We're playing them like they're the Jets.
Mhm.
You know, that's where they set their bar.
Yeah.
And that's where they have to try to play, because if they could beat that team normally, not so much this year for either team really. They've been kind of right around norm. They haven't been outstanding on one side of the ball or the other. But it's definitely a deal where both of those teams set their goal as the other one,
Right.
and then play every other team like they're playing.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on out of this quarter, I just want to mention, first of all, on your side, the Jets aren't out of it yet.
No.
They still have a chance to, you know, they can still win the division possibly, but it's going to take a superhuman effort.
Yeah.
Second of all, they can still at least get in the playoffs with a wild card or whatever.
Well, with the way that, you know, I think it comes down to pretty much how Buffalo's going to play for the rest of the year, because if, you know, the second time that the Jets meet Buffalo, or Buffalo, you know, like that they play each other towards the end of the season,
Yeah.
you got to look, you know, you're going to have to seriously look at, you know,
I think the Jets will win that one. I think the Jets are going to win a few more. I think the Jets are going to, you know, this is going to be a game that's going to stick in their craw, and they're going to take care of some business with or without some injury situations. But as far as your team, the fact is, your Patriots have pretty much, from this point to the end of the season, the easiest schedule on the schedule.
I know, and it's great. And I'm really happy about that, because that's going to further my conclusion for the Super Bowl being true, which is the Packers versus the Patriots. That's what I think is going to happen.
I see you smiling over there.
That will be a game for the ages. If it pans out and they play the way that they've been playing all year, the points are going to be
outrageous.
Outrageous. The yardage, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a great Super Bowl.
But Mario, here's my question for CT, and maybe
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
chime in on this one. If your schedule is so easy from here on out, yeah, obviously you should win, but is it too much of a cakewalk? Does that not prepare you as well because you're not trying as hard? Is it too easy going in?
Well,
You know what I mean?
before you go, I just wanted to say, like, I respect the living hell out of Bill Belichick. I think he is one of the greatest coaches ever that's living still. You know what I mean? He's proven himself to be an ass, but he's also proven himself to be. He backs it up.
Well, he'll be
however he wants,
he'll be in the
because
Tom Landry Miss Lombardi Club.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Easily.
Now, having said that, I think that could be their downfall for the rest of the season, because if you have technically the lightest schedule, there might be some teams where you kind of just take for granted and you don't really, because you're so prideful, you might not put as much as you should into game planning against that, and you might miss a couple of scenarios here and there that you didn't think of just because you were kind of thinking, oh, it's the Arizona Cardinals, or oh, it's, you know, whatever. I'm just
Washington Redskins.
I'm just going to blow it off.
Yeah.
And I think that's an easy scenario to think about, because if you're playing a team that's, you know, only got 2 wins under their belt, when you go to play them, there could be a couple of scenarios where you kind of.
Well, it's a momentum thing. I mean, you want to go into the playoffs strong, but not like just kind of dancing through it. Like Green Bay right now has just been dancing through it. Tonight they're going to get a challenge.
No, I'm not saying that will happen.
No, but I'm saying a team needs a challenge to stay strong and stay on top of their game. If it's too easy, you kind of relax a little bit. I mean, it's just.
Well, that is true, and there are a lot of teams that I think could fall victim to that, and I don't think the Patriots are one of them, and it's not just because they're my team. I really don't think that they have that mentality, because just like we had just talked about, they try to prepare every game like they're going to be playing against a top-notch team.
Yeah,
and normally that shows through. And then there's been a couple times this year where they've lost where they really shouldn't have.
And that's a good point.
And
they've kind of experienced that already.
Yeah, and that's really gonna haunt them.
Yeah.
That's really gonna grind at them, and it's gonna not make them happy, and they're not gonna let that happen anymore this year.
Really?
Said what?
Coming up in the second quarter here on the holiday.